Welcome back to my channel, where I review games that either escaped me in my childhood or just never really got around to. On today's video, we have the very first Halo. The very first Halo came out back in 2001. I was around 8 years old, and for some reason, I just didn't care. I wanted to blame my lack of interest in the age gap or the fact that the game was rated M for mature and I was a good little boy who abided by the ESRB ratings. That's the lie I've been telling myself because I've been playing games since I was 4 and my very first game was Mortal Kombat.
Sub-Zero with flawless victory fatality.
And back in 2001, I was already punching hookers in GTA. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't play this game back in the day. I thought it was for college kids who preferred to lock themselves in the room playing multiplayer all night rather than going out. Don't get it twisted, I am totally that guy. I just simply didn't care. For the longest, I thought it was an age thing, but it's not. I know people younger than me that love this franchise. I guess what I'm trying to say is I just never really gave it a fair shake until now. The release of Halo Infinite got my FOMO juices flowing, and I just want to know if all this Halo fandom is warranted. Does it deserve it? Should I believe the hype? Luckily, all Halo games are sitting nice and pretty on the Game Pass, so I fired it up and here's what I thought about the very first Halo campaign. Going in blind, I didn't know anything about the story. I didn't even know what Halo actually was. I didn't go as far as being like that one uncle who thinks Link is actually Zelda. I just never stopped and asked myself, what is Halo? And what it is, it's a weapon to kill all sentient life in the galaxy capable of falling prey to the Flood, an infectious alien parasite that is spreading across the galaxy. So we have our baddies, the Covenant, who declare humanity as heretics and an affront to their gods, the Forerunners, and begin a genocidal holy war with the humans. So the humans are whack, right? So here comes Master Chief, a lone Spartan. He's the last of an elite group of enhanced super soldiers whose purpose is to suppress the rebellions covertly. So Master Chief and his artificial intelligence Cortana are instrumental in the destruction of a Halo ring to stop the Covenant and the threat of the Flood. And we're off. The Master Chief Collection did a great job in sprucing up the visuals. Everything looks highly detailed and fleshed out, and you can easily compare. With the push of a button, the game switches back to its original graphics. I love this feature, and I was thinking half the time, what did this section or this certain part look like in the original? And with this, I could easily find out, and I really hope video games remasters do this more often. The shooting, I thought I was going to have an issue with because it's famous for not being able to look down the sights, a mechanic that has been a routine in gaming since I can remember. Instead, they adopted and made shooting from the hip their own. And I can respect the fact that they have stuck to this all the way through their last game. But shooting is very satisfying and fun. I like the variety of weapons and creativity in the design of weapons like the Needler, amongst others, but I mainly stuck to assault rifles and shotguns. Even though enemies are a bit of bullet sponges, forcing you to drop ammo-less weapons in search of another, and being without ammo is super frustrating, but there really isn't any weapon I didn't mind not using. At least to hold me over until I found what I really wanted. I also did find that there are certain areas that the game wants you to use certain weapons, and if you don't, the game feels much harder. My main gripe with the Halo series are the enemies. You have this big, bad looking badass in Master Chief, and its enemies are these teeny weeny grunts. They just look annoying. It just feels like there's something off. It doesn't go. I just don't find them to be memorable or imposing any kind of doom. I'm not afraid of them. I mean, look at this thing. It's annoying, yeah, but I'm not afraid of it. The rest of them aren't bad. I just really have an issue with these grunts. I just don't like them. The enemy AI, for the most part, impressed me too. I encountered some that were using cover properly and not just charging at me. I was doing most of the charging. I also desperately felt the need of a sprint button. And I'm not sure if because I'm used to it or if it's because Master Chief is actually really slow. But luckily, if you want to speed things up, you can hop on one of the vehicles, which the controls I absolutely hated. But it does feel like something that I'm pretty sure that they addressed in later games. Also, the lack of a map made the game way harder than needed to be, forcing you to either walk or drive around the level until you get where you need to be. And the way you get directed is just not efficient, and most levels feel like mazes, and I don't think that's its intention. And most often than not, I just couldn't proceed to the next part of the level because one of those little We're lost and slip through the cracks through the gunfight, and it doesn't help that all the rooms look exactly the same either. It just felt really confusing, and very easily you can lose track as to where you're going. If you've been in that room before, it's just straight up confusing. But by far the worst part of the first game is the platform. It is so clumsy. Why would they put you in a position to perform jumps and drive carefully over stuff when it's so difficult to do so? It's super clumsy and inconsistent. Countless of times I jumped over what I was trying to jump on. It doesn't feel good. I just hated it. But the best part by far is the music. I know that's something weird to say about a video game when you're trying to play and have fun, but I did really want to shout it out because it is so iconic and it sets the mood exactly to what it needs to be and the point of the story in the campaign. Even with those issues, I did enjoy my time in the Halo universe, and it is a 20-year-old game, so you have to give it some leeway. And I do recommend it to players who can forgive these dated problems. I understand that it's very tough to transport yourself back to 2001 compared to what was already out and give it a fair shake. But if you're able to do that, this game is tons of fun, and I got a little bit more understanding as to why it's so popular. I can only imagine the series getting better from here. So that's one down, at least 6 more campaigns to go. I wouldn't say I'm a complete diehard fan of the franchise, but I will say I kinda get it now. This is me not factoring in what is probably the biggest selling point in the multiplayer. But I am excited to see what else Xbox's own Mario has in store for me. If you like this video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Until next time, always and forever, you the